Thanks, Reverend Francie. That was, I really like that bell. That was nice. Okay, let me tell you about a rancher this morning. I like ranchers, and I'll tell you how come in a little bit. But a rancher's out in his ranch, you know, he had a pretty good sized ranch, and out working one day, and he saw out in the distance a dust cloud coming toward him, and you could tell it was a car. As it came closer, he saw that it was a brand new, what do you call it? BMW. Brand new BMW with a young guy driving. The guy came closer to him, so he thought, well, he's coming to see him for some reason. So he came out there and pulled up to him, got out of the car, and said, "Sir, I'd like to offer you something." And he said, "What's that?" He said, "I'd like to guess the number of cattle in your herd, and if I do, will you give me cattle?" And the rancher thought, you know, this is kind of weird, this guy coming out here when I'm working and stuff, and said, "Okay, all right, go ahead and try it." And so the guy pulls out this little iPad that's hooked up to his iPhone and goes on Google and gets finds out a satellite that he can go to that's immediate, and takes a picture of all the land that the rancher owns. And then he prints it out on this mini printer he has, a report, and sees all the pictures of all the cattle. So he sends it to this Excel format that has a bunch of programs in it, formulas that can count all the cows and figure out exactly how many it is for him. And he pulls it up and he says, "You have 1,651 cows. And the rancher looked at him and said, "You're right." And so the guy goes and picks out an animal and puts it in his little car. And the rancher, before he goes, says, "Well, I've got something for you. If I can tell you what business is, which business you're in, can you give me back my animal?" And he said, "Okay, sure enough." He said, "You're a consultant." And the young guy was amazed and said, "You're right. How'd you know?" He said, "Well, you came out here without being asked. You gave me some information I already knew. And most of all, you just, what's another consultant do? Anyway, told me, I'm not getting on consultants, I'm just telling you. And oh yeah, you were talking about a business you know nothing about." And he said, "Well, you're right." And he said, "Now, give me back my dog." It wasn't a calf he noted, it was a dog.
We should go back to the one about the river.
I'll have to remember that one myself. You know, last week I was going to do a joke in a different place, and I gave it before the service because they have, I don't think better than us, but they do some videotaping before the service. And so I did the joke before the service, and everybody's looking at me like, "What?" And so I changed it, and it messed them up, but that's okay. So they had kind of like a picture up there, and nobody knew what was going on. Okay, let's say our statements of truth together, please. I am a child of God. I am deserving of good in my life. I am accepting my good now. And just to let you know, I did have them say that too. I think that's important to get started off with something that is truth about ourselves and us saying it together. All right, well, all of us have done this, and we don't like to think that as Christian people, as spiritual people, that we could do this at some times, but we have all coveted something that someone else has at some point in time. And we have looked at something someone else has and wished we could have it. That's a good picture. Now, I'm not going to say that we had any thoughts of committing larceny or had any malice toward anybody else when we thought of this, but we have been envious of, in some way or another, of something someone else had. And when that has happened, it usually is envious of what someone else has instead of how they got it. Instead of looking for the reason someone has something that we do not, that we covet, then we look at the thing itself. It's kind of like saying, "I want what it is I want," without thinking that I have to put any effort forward toward getting it. Yeah, that's pretty much it. So the title of today's lesson is The Haves and the Have-Nots. Most people would think that we're going to talk about money or something money can buy, but this lesson really isn't about money. It has really nothing to do with money or anything that we can purchase, because money or any tangible merchandise is just a byproduct of what we're going to talk about. When we see things in life that we want, whether that be a mansion on the hill, a fancy sports car like the BMW we saw a minute ago, or the best church in town, do we think to ourselves, oh, that's a wonderful dream that I can achieve, while thinking deeper, having an underlying thought that it will never happen? Or do we see something that we desire and begin to formulate a plan to make a reality? Do we think that we are deserving of such things? Do we follow the guidance that prayer is giving us to achieve such things? Or do we let a false sense of lack enter into our thinking and say that we are not worthy? Or that's just reaching for the sky? Oh, by the way, before going further, I'll relieve you of this. You are in the best church in town right now. So you don't have
We know that.
to. Good. I'm glad. But we all, each one of us, is deserving of good in our life. We say that together like we did today at the very first of the lesson. But we have to not only say it, that we deserve good in our life, but we also have to believe it beyond any shadow of a doubt. We have to know, as a child of God, it is our birthright to have good in our life. Yet with that good comes responsibility. Sometimes it seems like some people actually choose not to have good in their life because they realize that there is responsibility that goes along with accepting that good. It is easier for some people to complain about those who have good in their life than to take up their own mantle and accept the good that they have and the responsibility that goes along with it, that is uniquely theirs. I told the Unity group last week that Unity teachings are the most powerful when the individual realizes the personal responsibility is the key to demonstrating the good in their own life. Unity teachings, in fact, Jesus' teachings, require the most personal responsibility from the individual, and is the true teachings and knowing and living from the Christ within. Sometimes I think people get the wrong impression, though, about when they hear that their own spiritual understanding and advancement in that understanding is their responsibility. It takes responsibility on their part. They think that they have to be a goody two-shoes all the time and that all will be fun, or all will be no fun. But the truth of the matter is that although it usually does require a change in behavior, the good that is for you, that God intends for you, and the fun show up almost immediately. Of course, it depends on how deep of a hole we dug for ourselves, doesn't it? The fun part of accepting responsibility can be right after, immediately after you choose to accept the responsibility. It doesn't have to wait. It depends on where you are in your thinking. And really the funny thing about responsibility is that where we all are accountable for our own actions anyway. Whether we do the right thing or the wrong thing, we're going to be accountable for our actions. So there's no really need to postpone our good that was intended for us, because we still have to answer to whatever we do at some point in our life. And, some people will take that and think, well, that's because God's a vengeful God. God's a vengeful God. If you don't do the right thing, He's going to strike you. He's going to spite you. But that's not the truth. The world is set up for your success. And if we stray from the path of our own goodness, then we're going to find something other than goodness. It's as simple as that. All we have to do is set ourselves up to go back onto the path. We can sit here in church and think that we are on the path of success, but if our lives are not out picturing that path, then we have to re-examine the steps that we are taking, the guidance that we're receiving. And 9 times out of 10, it is a matter of just a minor adjustment that we can put into our life that will bring us back on this path of good, which I'm talking about. Reverend Francie and I have been talking, we've been taking that Dave Ramsey thing that we're offering here. It's got 1 more week is all. And I know that some of you all are in here that are in here are taking it with us. And it's funny because he doesn't really teach anything that we didn't already know. It's just that we have to stay on the path. So we found out, I guess, what we were not doing and have corrected that. Our behavior did not match what we knew. In fact, Francie and I were talking just the other day about, well, I said more than her, but we agreed on it, is that if we would have done this if we would have stayed on that path when we had our businesses, then we would have tens of millions of dollars probably in savings right now, and of course be debt-free. But that's the past. There's no need to worry about what has happened in the past. We didn't do it at the time, but we can do it from this moment on. And so since we didn't stay fully on the path that was set up in the universe that's set up for our success, and we did not accept all the good that God was offering, all we had to do is change from this moment on. And here's the key. The path of good that is set up in the universe for your success is still within reach for each and every one of us. It really never has left us. Each path is different, yet you're never too far from it. And the same is for everyone here in this room or on the internet listening right now to my voice. You are still in a universe that is set up for your success. And the path to receiving your good is still within your reach. So what do we do from here? Do we sit and think about the days in the past when we got off the path and did not accept the good that is ours? Or do we look at where we are right now and get back on the path and begin accepting the good that is ours in the universe? Francie and I have chosen to grasp the latter, the new opportunities in front of us, and live from the blessings that are here in this present moment today. And isn't that all we have anyway? We have just this moment right here. That means getting, in our personal financial situation, getting debt-free, building personal wealth from the money that we earn now. It may take us a few years to achieve something that we could have achieved years ago, but that doesn't matter. Once you begin on the path, the blessings you receive start to compound, just like interest or earnings on your saved money. And those blessings grow and become bigger and bigger, blessings in all areas of life. Along these same lines, we begin to think about the church. We have released concerns about money and focused on the path we are on and the blessings that we currently have. As we do so, we find more opportunities that have not presented themselves before. The biggest blessing we have in this church right here, right now, is you. Is the consciousness that is here in each individual. That's the biggest and best blessing that this church has to offer. And it's the most important. This congregation has a very high spiritual consciousness that is alive within these walls. And to be quite honest, that is the highest and best thing that anyone can ask for from a ministry standpoint. For the congregation to be in tune with their own spirituality. The question for us as individuals is, how far outside these walls does that consciousness carry? Of course, our spiritual understanding does not ever leave us, but our demonstration of that consciousness, of that awareness, is a choice that each of us make in every day of our living. Are the things we do with our time, talents, and treasures, demonstrating the thoughts that we have? Do we think about what our actions are saying to the universe that is set up for our success? Are we keeping on the path that allows the universe to bless us as individuals? At the Unity Church I talked at last week, they were very similar in size to ours. So I was thinking, during the week, I was thinking, that's so similar, not too far from here in Chattanooga. I thought, I'm going to look up their financials. And ministers can do that, and as we try to help each other, we are available to do that because we as church sometimes send financial blessings to other churches. So I looked up their financials, and surprisingly to me, they brought in about double what we bring in on a weekly offering. Now what do you think I mean by that? Well, it doesn't mean that we should give more in the sense of money. But that's going to come around. That is going to happen. But not the way you may think. As far as an offering, the church should represent the demonstration aspect of the congregation, which every church does anyway. So how well are we demonstrating in our personal life those that reflect, the things that reflect in our offering at church? And if that's so, then we each have a responsibility, but more than that, we have an opportunity to demonstrate more in our personal life. Just like Francie and I, you may have heard or still have behaviors in your life that do not allow you to receive all the good and all the blessings that are meant for you. You may not be allowing the good that the universe is giving you to manifest the life that you want. And although some may think that this is not a good thing, I think it's a wonderful opportunity for us to recognize how we can allow more good in our life simply by changing some minor behaviors. For Francie and me, it was awakening to how much money we spent on food, believe it or not, each month. We ate out regularly for the convenience, which it is convenient, especially nowadays, to just stop by and grab something. So when we recognize this and stop eating out as much, we cut our budget in half on that. And we are blessed by that, not because of the money, but because of the experience of lunches and dinners now that is different than before. The convenience made it easy, and we went and got it, but it was just something that was there that we went and got. Now, when Francie and Grace and I eat lunch or dinner, it's a family effort. It's a family thing. And I know that if y'all are old enough to, that's what we did all the time before. So it was a blessing, although you wouldn't have guessed it. At least I wouldn't have. And so, it brings back, of course, those older memories, too. For me, when I did eat with my parents and then my grandparents, that was the norm. It wasn't going to the McDonald's or whatever you go to. And it's just like the old saying, the simple things in life are the ones that bring us the greatest blessing. And of course, you heard the other one, the best things in life are free, which is true. I've said before that I want each congregant in this church to be a millionaire. And that's not as much as it used to be, but I still want you to be at least a millionaire. But more than that, I want each of us to be a person with enough resources to do what brings all the blessings of God that the universe has for you. And that can include money or any other byproduct of our spirituality. And the greatest thing about this group right here is that the hardest part of demonstrating good in your life, you've already done it. You've already done it because you know the source of your good. It's not McDonald's. It's not the name on the paycheck that you get whenever you get your paycheck. It's not the company name. It's God. It's the universe that's set up for your success. As far as the haves and have-nots, before this lesson, you may have felt like you were one of the have-nots in some way in your life. Now you know that you're one of the haves. Oh my God, I'm one of those 1%ers. Oh, I've been talking bad about them for months. How does that feel? Ooh. Because you have all the ability, all the resources within you to have anything in life. I want us all to loose and let go of any ideas of money as the source of our good. I want us to realize and demonstrate that the source of my good and your good is already within me and within you. All we have to do is open ourselves up to that goodness, to listen to the guidance that it offers, and to follow that guidance from this point on. Just like Francie and I taking the Dave Ramsey course. We already knew this stuff. We already knew it. So it's no secret. God is ready, willing, and able to bless you in this very moment. I've got some questions for you. Are you ready to receive your blessing?
Yes. Yes.
Are you going to realize that you are worthy of unlimited blessings from God?
Yes.
Will you listen to the guidance that you receive from the universe?
Yes.
Will you accept and follow the guidance that is for your highest good?
Yes.
That one was a little bit weaker. I think that was the responsibility part coming into play. Wasn't it? Did you hear it? Did you hear me a little bit weaker? I love me. Will you accept and follow the guidance that is yours for your highest good?
Yes.
Thank you. If you answered affirmatively to these questions, then welcome to the first day of the rest of your life of having good and being the 1%ers. Know that God is blessing you now. Amen.